How long ago was this?
My mother, what is it?
Probably about 15, 20 years ago. So abrasive. Yeah, I've calmed down a bit since. Actually, no, I've made much fucking heavier than this recently. I can't say I've calmed down now.
You can swear. Well, we try and swear not too much.
I will endeavour not to.
Just try.
I'll do my best.
We have an over 18 rating on it.
I don't want to get you demonetised.
No, you've probably got a little way off until that actually happens. So everyone who's listening, this is Jack Carter, who I knew as Stenchman, but I maybe I might have heard this, but that was Henchman.
Man of many names, many identities.
Why have you had to make different identities?
I don't actually remember why I did it. I think I was just signed exclusively under the name Henchman when I started making dubstep, so I just kind of made a similar but not quite name.
Oh, so it gave you freedom without having to be under a contract under a...
Yeah, that's it. You have kind of exclusivity to a label, and then you just kind of, anything else you do, you have to do under an alias.
Well, quick introduction. Cheers, by the way. We're having a nice Spanish beer, Estrella, one of my favourites.
Oh, yeah.
Because the art club was closed by the time I arrived, so we couldn't get any extra beers in.
Yeah, I wanted to get one of them good cocktails, but we move.
Never mind. It is a little bit late in the day. But Jack Carter, also known as, I think more prominently as Stenchman, would that be right?
Yeah.
You are originally from London?
Yeah, originally from London.
You moved down to Dover, straight from London to Dover?
Yeah, when I was about 10 years old, so just before starting secondary school.
Okay. And your passion and your talent has been writing, producing and playing in front of crowds your own music.
Yeah, and other people's music as well, obviously. But
music,
it's been it was a interesting period of my life, kind of just solely making a living off of touring around the world, getting drunk and playing tunes.
Touring around the world. But you moved here to Dover at 10, but when did you start picking up? So first of all, what piece of equipment got you started into what we're doing? Was you playing on vinyls, I'd imagine, because I'd imagine CDJs weren't around then?
To be fair, I actually started out, my cousin Josh, who you know, he was a DJ and I kind of jumped on and was his MC. So we used to go around doing like under 18s parties over in like Folkestone and Ramsgate and Dover and stuff.
So you were MCing as well?
Yeah. That's how I kind of started.
I don't think I've heard you MC actually.
Oh, I've got bars for days, fam.
Brilliant.
Yeah, there's some of it online. We could pull that up if you really
like
needed
to. See that a bit later. But yeah, Josh. So you jumped to being MC for Josh?
Yeah. Well, even before I even MC'd for Josh, I was kind of just carrying his record bag into gigs for him when he was getting the gigs. So I was just kind of involved in it. I had the love of music, but no necessary talent at the time or the equipment to do anything with it. But yeah, I started MCing and then kind of bought my own set of decks and kind of picked it up from there.
When it come to MCing, what made you start to MC? Was you already good at putting lyrics? Because it is still lyrics, I suppose, isn't it? You're still spitting bars. It's still technical.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up listening to pirate radio in London, so it was very much the DJ and MC culture on the radio waves. There'd always be a DJ and an MC, or the DJ would be kind of announcing tunes and giving shout outs to people who were like listening and who texted in. I'd borrow my parents' phone so I could text in and get a shout out and make sure I was recording it on my little tape player. But I kind of just picked it up from there, and my mum not long ago found loads of old tapes where I'd kind of started splicing bits together off the radio and was doing my own announcements in between. It's the most cringeworthy thing ever, but it was quite funny listening back to it.
Well, that's interesting. I forgot really that MC, it doesn't mean like when I think of MCing, because I used to listen to a lot of garage when I was younger. You know, that was MCing as well. But MCing is also announcements and just doing, like you said, the bits in between.
Yeah, it's a kind of master of ceremonies is where it originally came from, which was like in more like announcements and stuff.
Is that where MC comes from then?
Yeah.
Master of ceremonies.
I'm the master of the ceremonies. What does it take to be a garage MC? Personality, originality, etc.
So you already was confident to put your voice out there and start. What?
Well,
Did you just going to give it a go, or?
I wouldn't say I was confident. I've always been a bit weirdly reclusive, and I don't really enjoy going on stage in front of hundreds of people, which is probably why I chose to wear a mask when I was doing that kind of thing, because it kind of gives a little barrier between you and the audience.
Where did the mask? So I feel like we need to stitch in some of the masks. I don't know if we can bring up some pictures.
The mask actually came about kind of by accident. I was DJing locally at we did a Halloween party down at the... the Happy Chef that Alias owns down on Snargate Street? We booked that out for Halloween to do a party in there randomly. And on the night I was DJing wearing like this mask. And there was one of my friends, Rupert Critchley, he got some really cool pictures of me on the decks that night. So I thought, that's my MySpace photo right there. So it went like that. And then I started getting bookings and people were asking, were you going to be wearing the mask? And I was like, well, I can do if you want.
Yeah.
And so I started wearing, it was just like this horrible, so hot, this like full head latex mask. I ended up having to like poke holes in like where my ears sat because you couldn't hear anything from the headphones to actually be able to mix in it. Still really couldn't anyway. So my mixes were atrocious while I was wearing it. But it went from there. And then when I was touring in America, I met up with, got introduced to the guy who makes the masks for Slipknot. He lived in the same apartment as one of the guys I was playing for over there. And I ended up spending a day getting my face molded and stuff. I was sat there with like a full head of latex with straws up my nose. And got a mask made by him, like a custom fitted job. So that was my kind of calling card from then.
So because I want to come back to the mask subject again, but your pathway through just carrying a record bag, then doing some MC, and then somehow you met the mask maker of Slipknot. Yeah,
I mean, there's obviously some steps in between. Probably the biggest one that kind of set me on my journey was Music 2000 for the PlayStation.
I remember that. Yeah,
that's what got me really reclusive and not hanging out with my friends anymore. I just used to sit in my room making tunes on the PlayStation, sitting there with a controller, like. But I used to have like memory cards upon memory cards of tunes that I'd made on the PlayStation.
I only remember it being still kind of a bit basic. Or did you?
It was so basic. Yeah. You could it was mostly like pre-made like Lego building blocks of tune, but there was like sequencing editor functions. You could change the tempo and stuff like that. So it was possible to make drum and bass on there.
Now, did you realise that then, or you knew about sequence changing?
No, it was it was very much a learning curve just by using and experimenting with the software.
Wow. So hours of practice.
Yeah. And then kind of moved on to, got Cubase and Reason on the PC, and a lot of the kind of skills are transferable. You just have to kind of get used to the different methodologies of working in the different environments. But you just kind of, once you've got a foundational understanding of how the composition of music works, it kind of just spirals from there until you're getting into like really, really granular details about like harmonic frequencies and stuff like that, where it just gets so precise and mathematical.
Reason's been around for that's still going now, isn't it?
Yeah. I've literally just this week upgraded to the newest version. Big shout out to Reason Studios for hooking me up. It's a game changer, really. It's got everything that you'd need right out of the box to make bangers.
See, now this would have been around about the time, correct me if I'm wrong, as the internet had only just been invented or hadn't quite.
It was getting into kind of a public domain, really. It had been around for a while, but it was only kind of used by businesses and such. And
So how was you finding your research, your information, the learning? Was any of it books, or you've managed to find something online?
I did. I went over to Canterbury College. I did a music technology course over there, so I did have some kind of formal education in it, and also did a music business course at the Institute of Music Technology
After
in London.
you finished school, or
Yeah, this was directly after school. I went straight from school into college. But
well, for anyone who's listening, you can still go to college at any age. It doesn't have to be when you finish school. If you've got the time, you can.
well, I mean, you have to have finish school first, generally.
Well, yeah, but I mean later on in life.
There's no set period after that. I mean, I'd love to go back and start learning again now. I mean, I feel like kind of where I went out and did the music thing, I missed out on a huge experience in university. But yeah, it's just still almost 40 years old. Don't know what I don't want to do when I grow up.
Yeah. So did you went to the college, but then ducked out towards the end to just go and do your own thing?
Yeah. Well, I got a record deal while I was still in college, and then started getting gigs. So I was like, what do I need you for? Yeah, typical kind of bravado of man.
Well, how did you get the record deal? How did they find you? Or did you approach them?
I don't know if I can actually mention it, because it'd be like putting people in hot water, but it was through a mutual friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's the somebody had heard what you were doing.
Yeah. So
word got about, and it moved on from there, basically.
Yeah. Basically, that's it. Someone I know knew someone else, and they played them some of my tunes. So I was like, he's good.
Was that the first one? Was it called 10 Bag?
No, that was a bit later, the 10 Bag release.
Was it?
Yeah, it was about 2009, 10, I think.
It's only because I do this sometimes. I asked ChatGPT, and I said, "Tell me about Jack Carter, also known as Stenchman, dubstep DJ from Dover." And it says about you was releasing music on various labels such as 10 Bag, Rotten Records, and your own label, Bovinyl Music. Sorry, I added a T in there. So you actually created your own label eventually.
Yeah. I had my own label that I distributed through like a company called New Urban. They'd like do P&R deals where they'd basically print and distribute your record, and you just kind of get some money at the end of it.
Did you do that?
Until they went bust, and I lost a lot.
Oh no! Did you go down that route because you got a signing deal, and then you started to learn about it and thought I could do this myself?
Yeah.
Hence the name changes, I suppose.
There was a lot of music I was making that I was really, really keen on, and I thought it was amazing, but it was kind of a bit way out west for the labels that were releasing stuff at the time. So if you got no outlet for some of your best work, you kind of create your own.
Because drum and bass has been around for, well, you tell me.
Donkeys.
Yeah, it's been around.
In different forms since the like late 80s, really.
And it's got a massive following, but it's never been in like I don't want to say the pop charts, but it's never been anything that's more mainstream, which is cool.
I don't know. That's the thing. There's loads of tunes that you probably wouldn't even realise have got like a drum and bass beat, like full-on pop tunes.
Yeah.
There's like, I can't remember, it was like Sugar Babe song or something, but it was like, actually, if you listen to the beat, it's just a straight-up drum and bass beat.
It's just got some pop lyrics to it.
Yeah, that's it. And there has been like kind of, you remember in the mid like 2010s, you had Shy FX, Shake Your Body,
That's
LK.
a good point. Yes. All popular tracks on the Now CDs at the end of every year.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the first wave, you had tunes like Incredible, Original Nutter. They're anthems, generational. So yeah, I don't think it's kind of fair to say that it's never kind of peaked into the charts, because there's been been huge successes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't need to be in the charts because it's already.
I mean, yeah, it's an underground music, and kind of whenever a few songs start charting, it tends to be the case for a lot of producers will be like, oh, we can make some money from this. Let's make music that's kind of lowest common denominator that will appeal to everyone, that will make some money. And I'm guilty of it as well. I've made tunes that are just like, I think this would be popular, not I like this.
Yeah.
But when you're a musician and you're earning a living off music, it's what you've got to do. You can't, it's all well and good to have your kind of integrity, but integrity won't put food on the table.
Well, you've got to feed your tribes. So to speak, and you've also got to put easier listening variations of what you're doing for the more masses, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. It's got to be kind of challenging yet accessible. It's a hard thing to straddle, but I do like to kind of, whenever I'm making music, I'm constantly trying to kind of make things that are two opposing things at once. Like cheesy yet underground or happy yet sad. I like to kind of have a real sense of conflict within my work.
Oh, so rather than focusing on one, you try and amalgamate two different feelings into one track. Is that difficult?
Yeah, and it's weird. You can kind of make something that whatever mood you're currently in, it will kind of amplify that.
Is that you now or that was you then?
I think that's more me now, to be honest. Back then, I was just more having fun.
I've only listened to snippets that you've posted on social media of some of the stuff you've done. I've not listened to any full tracks, but I'll get around to it for sure. Are you finding by any chance that anyone from a younger generation is searching, 15 years or more in the past for drum and bass beats? Because back then, dubstep's only really been around a lot less time, hasn't it? Yeah,
dubstep only kind of really formed as a term kind of like 2005, 2006.
Right.
But that's still 2 decades now. We're so old.
I keep forgetting. When I say, 15 years ago, it's actually plus 10 because I keep forgetting about it's 2025. But are you finding younger generations, though, are looking still, because I tell everyone I drive coaches, as you know, and we take a lot of school children, and they are constantly, because I let them link to the Bluetooth stereo, they're always like preferring the old tracks, from 20, 30, 40 years ago compared to stuff that's out now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It all comes in waves. I mean, you think about it, when we was young and we play music, my mum would be like, I have the original of this. This is sampled from something from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we're getting this now, and it's just like, oh my God, like I didn't think it would happen so quick that I've become my mum.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I remember this the first time it came out.
I wanted you to sample a track. I'd had a few beers one night, and you didn't like the song.
No, that's the thing. Like, you sent it to me and Melvin, and there's a very diplomatic approach from Melvin, and then I was like, he's just being nice. He hates it as much as me, and I can tell.
It was 2 a.m. I'd had a few beers, and I was listening to it, and I was like, "Oh, it'd be great to hear this as a drum and bass record."
Mate, it's far from the worst thing I've been sent by one of my mates at 2 a.m. So yeah, don't worry.
No. The masks thing that I wanted to ask you about is that I think that you were wearing masks. I know Slipknot were doing it, but that's all. I mean, you had Kiss who painted their faces, didn't you? You had, I don't know unless there's probably people who do know and the other. But you must have been one of the few and first that were wearing masks while DJing. What do you think? Or?
In electronica, actually, Daft Punk.
Is that before you?
Daft Punk was before me.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I find it hard to keep track of a timeline of my own life, let alone every other musical artist in the world. So yeah, just recording when I even first started wearing a mask was hard enough, let alone who was already doing it at the time.
Well, when you had the PlayStation, who's your inspirations at the time then? You can reel us off a couple of names if you've got any.
I'd say DJ Hazard, always been a big inspiration of mine. His production style is he's just always had something different, a very organic sound.
See Alfie nodding his head over there as well.
Hazard. I really trying to think like who I was idolising at that time. Really liked Nero when they were doing drum and bass. They were one of my big inspirations at the time. Yeah, their early drum and bass stuff was incredible, and it just had so much energy. The Space 2001 remix they did was just one of them that I just went crazy to every time I heard it. There was just so many amazing acts in drum and bass and in dubstep when I got into both of them, but I feel like if I tried to list off everyone, I'd leave out someone and I'd be heartbroken for not paying props.
Have you found, because I've only thought about this recently and I haven't looked into it, have you found any kind of search engine or app thing? Like my musical knowledge and how to search for bands and find new music is kind of terrible. I didn't idolise anyone when I was younger. I didn't have posters on my wall of any musical band or anything like that. But when I use Spotify, for example, when I type in a song, it then just rolls off into some of these more popular songs and stuff like that. It doesn't give me too much. Maybe I'm using Spotify wrong, but it'd be cool if there was like a way that I could follow you and then it starts streaming me the music that you liked, because you're the sort of person that would dig out alternative music.
I'm sure you can follow people on Spotify, as individual users.
What, and that tells me the things that you're listening. Yeah, but I don't want to look for what you're looking to. I think it would be kind of cool if there was like a button that sort of you push play on stuff that you recommend. In fact, artists. In fact, it would be actually kind of cool that artists, if there was a way. So I'm not looking for your history of what you're looking at.
I know that I think it's Last FM. If you go on there and look at artists, it'll recommend you like similar artists. I do that quite a lot. Or just type something in on YouTube, like a vibe that I want, like of artist, and then I'll kind of just go on a click through deep dive on the recommended and see where I end up. It's always in random places.
That's true. I don't use, I pay for Spotify, so I'm refusing to pay for another one, which is YouTube. And you're right, actually, YouTube, when I used to have it open on a laptop in the past without having, because you pay for it now. So you can't just close the screen in your pocket like Spotify.
Yeah.
But I do remember years ago when I was using YouTube and I was playing a certain genre of music, it would come up with these random new alternative things, and I discovered a lot actually through YouTube. So yeah, maybe I'm going to switch back to YouTube and get rid of Spotify then.
Yeah, I think a lot of it though comes through, like, as an artist, you spend a lot of time sample digging, so you want to find the weirdest, most obscure things that nobody will have ever heard before, so you can just rip bits out of it and no one will notice.
You spend hours doing that, didn't you?
Yeah. Especially with a kind of, one of the gold mines for it is kind of like incidental music, stuff that's made for like TV shows and stuff. But it's not like, they don't have like song titles and stuff. It's just like tension free and stuff like that. All the titles, it's just like a vague description of the vibe and theme.
Okay.
So yeah, you spend a lot of time digging through the crates of the old like movie music to find little gems.
Nice. So you're how old now when you've got your first record label?
How old when I got my first record label?
Yeah. Sorry, I phrased that as in, how old are you now?
When you got
I was talking like it was in a storyline. So how old are you now?
How are you now? When I first set the label up, probably was about 21.
Yeah. And at this time, was you partying also for yourself, not just when you were DJing?
Yeah, I think at that time I wasn't getting booked to the level of frequency that going out and paying to go to a club seemed like a crazy idea. I mean, after a few years of doing it, you kind of, well, I do this every week. This is my day job. It's like, would you go on a bus trip on on your day off?
No. No. I know how much room they get.
But yeah, I mean, I still did enjoy raving, but yeah, I'm just a tight bastard who didn't want to pay for it. I'd still go if I got guest lists and stuff.
When you were DJing, was you partying before you played your set? Was you drinking? Was you getting wasted at all? Was you focused on?
No, I was absolutely a mess. I used to get really, really anxious before gigs a lot of the time, especially if it was for like in front of more than like 3,000 or 4,000 people. I'd get really nervous. So I used to just drink a lot, and then it made the fact that I was being sick before a performance seem reasonable because I've drunk loads.
Oh, but the set still went well.
I think.
Well, you ended up popular.
That's it. I mean, I think it's like a luck. Like there'd be times I was sloppy, but sometimes because you're dancing around like a madman, you kind of bring in the vibe and the energy. People kind of give you a bit of leeway.
Well, you obviously created a following. I remember watching you live on TV one night. It was God knows how many years ago.
The Smelly Show.
15 years ago, maybe. And you was wearing a mask then as well. But you obviously created quite a following. Did you ever get any sort of numbers or?
Yeah, it was. I think I was just lucky that I kind of started producing when MySpace blew up. I think that was, if it wasn't for that platform in particular, and the fact that you could kind of had your profile songs bit and stuff, so you could just showcase your songs straight away. I think for artists that was a massive boost. I don't think there's any equivalent now for kind of music discovery for new artists anyway, because all of the kind of music things are algorithmical. If you haven't got more than 1,000 plays, you're not going to be recommended on Spotify to anyone. It's kind of, things get lost into a world of nothingness just because they don't get pushed anywhere.
Is that what SoundCloud maybe was meant to be, but it just didn't quite work out?
I mean, SoundCloud started out like that, but it became like lately it's all kind of repost chains and stuff. So you have to kind of get on a repost chain and then you agree to repost someone else's stuff and they'll repost yours and you have to schedule it and all this stuff. And it's takes the fun out of it, I find.
So there's a gap in the market maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, the companies that have got the market so far, they've got it so locked down, and unless there was like a real consumer hunger for underground artists, because a lot of people, general people, they don't care if an artist's parents are highlighted in blue on Wikipedia. It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter if they came from money or if they're an industry plant and they've paid their way to get into the industry. Like, music's music to a lot of people. And I mean, even with myself, I find it as one of the modern wokies that you have to separate art from music, because so many people who make amazing music that are absolute dickheads and come out with the like most abominable views. So yeah, it's.
Well, so you mean like there needs to be a platform where it's just about music but not about opinions?
To be honest, I don't know how I wandered to where I was. That was a bit of a tangential one. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what there needs to be as a platform, yeah, there should be a platform that champions up and coming artists.
Because I know if you upload something to Spotify, and I don't know about SoundCloud as well, for each play, if there's subscribers or something, you get actually a minimal amount of money in return.
Yeah, there's a threshold, so it has to cross a certain amount of streams before you'll even start getting paid. But it's like fractions of a penny per play.
And places like SoundCloud are favourite to...
there is monetization options on SoundCloud, but to be honest, I don't really utilize them. I've got to the point now where obviously music's not my main source of income. I've got a kind of steady job, so monetizing my music and making people listen to like a 40-second advert whenever they want to listen to one of my tunes, just to earn a couple of pence. I'd rather just not make any money and people be able to experience it without having to have annoyances.
Well, I feel like even on Spotify, if I'm listening to something and I like a song, and you have to sort of go into it and add it to a folder or an album that you create. You got to create this album. I just want one button where I can be like, and then it stores the information.
It's a little plus on the thing.
Yeah, but then you have to add it to an album.
No, that just goes straight into liked songs, and then you can add it from there into a playlist at a later date if you want.
Yeah, but I still think you've got to.
No,
it just goes into liked songs. Because then what I wanted it to do is then use that information to not just repeat those liked songs to me, but to find other relatable songs. And like the YouTube algorithm, start just going off into weird branches. Because there's this new thing on Spotify now, it's called Repeat Rewind. So if I press that, it just repeats the same list of songs from start to beginning. I'm like, no, I don't want the same order. Start playing something a little bit different. Because it goes into this weird one where I'm listening to something from the 80s, into hip hop, into some heavy metal band, then into Block Party. And I'm like, it's just, it's all over the place.
Sounds like you've got some weird algorithm going on. Because literally, as soon as I add one, I'll create a playlist with like one tune in it, and then everything that comes up below it will be like a similar vibe. So I just like, oh, that's good, that's good.
I do listen to
don't know how you've broken it, but I think it's just a you problem.
It might be.
It needs to be taken up with tech support.
Well, I listen to classical music on there as well. I love listening when I'm in stressful traffic.
Oh yeah, I love a bit of. I've been listening to a lot of Alexandra Streletsky recently. Yeah. Really, really beautiful stuff. Then I get a chance to have a listen.
I can't remember the other day. I asked it to play me some drum and bass, and it started playing me "Castles in the Sky" by
Ian Van Dahl.
It's like, whatever, that'll do. So you got your label, and you started. Well, you was playing in front of big crowds, when you was headlining other DJs and stuff like that as well. Is that right?
Yeah, it's like mad when I look back and I look at older flyers, and there's fabric flyers with my name here and Ed Sheeran below me.
Is this because you said you were a recluse and you was on the PlayStation to begin with, and downloading these projects? But did you also become a part of a community?
Yeah, there's loads of people I met and good friendships I've made through the industry. Definitely say various community aspects to it. I'm not the most kind of community-minded person. Of times I can be a bit kind of off, so I didn't fully ingratiate myself. But yeah, there's all kinds of Facebook groups and stuff like that for every single kind of compartmental subgenre of dubstep and drum and bass.
Yeah, but back then it was more tribal, I suppose, wasn't it? This was before social media was a big thing and all that kind of stuff, wasn't it? I mean, it would have been more tribal.
Not really, because...
Who was pushing you? Who was supporting you? Who was helping you? Or is it all you just searching and putting your name out there? That's what I'm trying to get at, I suppose.
I don't know. I kind of... Just everyone who I sent my tunes to just ended up playing them, so I kind of got lucky that way. My first dubstep tune I ever made got picked up by Scream and played on his radio show. So that got me a lot of attention. And then a lot of my stuff, Mr. Jam on Radio 1 Extra was a big champion of my work and played everything I used to send him in. So I used to get a lot of like 1 Extra and Radio 1 airplay, which, yeah, definitely did a lot of stuff with the numbers. And then I managed to get on an agency called Coda, which was one of the biggest ones at the time. So I just had access to all the like biggest venues and stuff, and they kind of be offered me on a regular basis as part of a roster. Doesn't really sound like it's luck, mate. It sounds like you had a talent. You produced something that people wanted to hear. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like with any success story, like you can listen to people and emulate exactly what they've done to get success, but there'll be thousands of people who've done exactly the same and not been successful. So there is an element of chance to every success, I think, because there's no formula for it. You can do everything that a successful person does and still not make it. There is a right place, right time element to some things as well, maybe.
Yeah. Or making that right place, right? There might even be the right phone call at the right time, not procrastinating. And you must have been active in pushing yourself.
Well, yeah, that's it. It's just kind of make yourself known. I'd email or private message all the big DJs and stuff and go, here's a new tune of mine. Let us know if you like it. Things like that. And it's weird that at the beginning of my career when my production was abysmal, I had so much confidence in that. And now that I've been doing it for 20 years, there's tracks I've been working on for 10 years. I'm like, still don't know if it's really.
I bet you've probably got some tracks that have never seen the light of day.
Hundreds, probably thousands.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
And there was, I had a hard drive crash a few years back. So there was thousands of tunes I lost then, just completely gone, never to be seen again.
Was you upset?
Yeah, I was devastated.
Was you devastated? Yeah. I bet you was. That's
yeah.
hours of work and passion, even if no one listens.
I still don't back up my shit properly. Oh, you never learn, eh?
Well, everything's on the cloud now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you kept on rising to fame, essentially, in the underground circuit. But you come to a point where how did you end up headlining for the big acts? It was just literally through the radio one and keep promoting your name's above Ed Sheeran. Where was that, by the way?
Fabric, that was.
Fabric. And you kept going after that still? You was traveling the world. Where did you go in the world to do it?
Oh, I've travelled all over. Been to France, Belgium, Netherlands, Spain, Italy, Ukraine, Russia. I shouldn't have put them two together, but my mind was just going around the map there, sorry. Where else have I been? Finland, toured all around the United States. I've done about 20 states every time I went over there. Never did South America or Asia, but yeah, pretty much the whole of continental Europe and Northern America.
But this is because you made yourself a part of the circuit, is it? You was following the circuit, people also were recommending you, or you were getting yourself in there?
Yeah, people were playing my tunes. There was, and people were just kind of coming across them by accident a lot more. Just don't know how things changed, but you did used to get exposed to more randomness.
And you were doing clubs of how many people?
From anything from that's the thing, all across the career, there's always been elements of randomness. There'd be things I'd turn up to with 50 people there.
Well, you said the Happy Chef on
Western
Road. So it's only,
but yeah,
and then you said Fabric. It's big.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what the biggest I played to is. Probably one of the ones at Glastonbury I did. That was a pretty big crowd. Or maybe Duurfest in Belgium or Holland. One of the two. But Duurfest was a massive, the biggest tent I've ever been in my life, and you just couldn't even really see the back of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it a complete whirlwind of party and going off the rails, or did you actually experience any of the culture or places that you went to?
I tried at times, but yeah, a lot of the time I was going from place to place with 3 hours sleep, and had a flight another 2 hours away in the morning, and just I didn't get to enjoy as much as I'd like, but I did try and have a little explore everywhere I went. It's it taught me loads of little techniques that I still utilise to this day. Whenever I walk out of my hotel in a foreign country, I always make sure I stop and turn around every now and then, so I know what it's going to look like on my way back.
Yeah, for orienteering purposes.
Yeah, you got to get your bearings.
Yeah. Was you, even if you wasn't enjoying the culture as much, though, was you still enjoying the whole of everything, even if it was 2 hours sleep and travelling to the next place, you still...
Yeah, and the associated things that are involved in getting to that stage of things.
Yeah, but what was the downsides then? Because I mean, inevitably you got to a point where you kind of sacked it all off, didn't you, for a little bit hiatus?
Oh, I mean, I didn't just sack it all off. It was the scene just changed. Where I was fully in the dubstep and I wasn't doing any drum and bass anymore, that kind of, it became Americanized, and there was the kind of a dubstep that took on a different term, and like now you refer to dubstep and UK dubstep. It's two different kind of things.
Okay.
And like, yeah, it got a bit more kind of screechy, and the kind of stuff like Skrillex started coming out. And yeah, it just got progressively harder and harder. And I didn't want to kind of just follow suit and make music that I thought was just noise. Still wanted to have a element of like bounce and musicality to it. So it kind of compartmentalized. It became the abrasive side, and then the really like deep head noddy side. And I kind of sat in the middle with no place anymore.
Okay. And then what?
And yeah, the started getting less gigs, and it got to the point where it was like I was getting 1 or 2 gigs a month, which was just enough to cover the rent and expenses.
Well, because you wasn't conforming to...
Just because of the scene moved on, and I didn't.
Which is now what you're trying to slightly adapt in your own...
Well, I'm just making music now and enjoying myself. I don't really care if I get any kind of recognition for it. I mean, it's always nice to have your music out there and having a positive effect on people, but it's kind of not the be all and end all. But yeah, it is. I mean, there is a part of the ego that obviously misses the kind of the adulation you'd get after a set with like people wanting to get photos and having to get a marker pen to sign titties and stuff. It was all good fun.
You must have been flying quite high.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds, well, the things that you're describing and the things that you're experiencing are pretty impressionable, to be honest with you.
So yeah, to manage to go from that to like a couple of years later, I was sat in a factory packaging Femfresh was quite a kind of a challenge for the ego, and to come through the other side of that, I think, is quite difficult for me. But
well, it affected you mentally.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
going from feeling important to feeling like a small cog in a big machine.
Right. So yeah, but this is what I think my question was trying to be, was you didn't want to produce what everyone else was, you wanted to still do you, but what was it? The labels weren't picking up on it, or the scene wasn't picking up. They were like, no. To
be fair, were
they the sellouts?
I was producing music less by that time. I wasn't putting in the hard work in the studio, because the money, the DJing's where the money is. That's where you kind of get your bread and butter, and the making music is a kind of nice little bonus every now and then.
Was you burnt out by then?
Yeah, probably.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you had a pretty.
Yeah,
like
I was
full power.
I was very much not in touch with myself at the time. It was only kind of years later that I look back and I'm like, it was so clear I had really bad mental health issues there. Why? Wonder why no one ever pointed it out to me.
But this was mostly between your 20s and 30s, would that be?
Yeah, from early 20s to up to about 30.
So you just got caught up in the whirlwind of everything.
It's easy to do.
I can imagine. I mean, you see a lot of different people that have gone to this. But then you also see the other end of the spectrum of there's DJs now that go to Ibiza that are just, I don't know if they're teetotal, but they go there and they don't party, they don't do anything. They go there, they play their gigs, they keep their money in their pocket, because I know that there's DJs over there as well that spend all the money on accommodation and the partying and the after party and stuff like that as well. But there has been known to be some that go there and, it's a job.
Yeah.
Not just doing the party lifestyle. But obviously I would imagine several years ago that wasn't something that people did. It was all full.
No, there was people who were very, very much more sensible than I was with. That's it. Kind of, I mean, with any profession, you'll get a wide variety of people. I mean, the only true common factor you can say between musicians is that they like music.
So you reached one of the highest points, then you ended up dropping out a little bit. You went and worked in the factory, Then when did Melvin come into the play? Because I know Melvin, obviously.
Oh, Melvin's always been around. I feel like I've not mentioned him enough here, but yeah, we kind of...
Even in the record carrying days with Josh?
It was slightly after that, actually, because, yeah, that was when we was like about 16. I was in the sixth form, but I first met Melvin. And, if you want to hear the story, he came into the sixth form common area and he was like in a bit of a kerfuffle. And I went over, you're right, mate. And he was like really annoyed because he sat on a pack of cigarettes and snapped every single one of them. So me being the nice guy I sat there because I was making roll-ups and I doctored every one of them and fixed every one of his fags for him. And yeah, that's how we became friends.
No way.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty cool little story. And so you didn't know him before, or was he into music then? Or did he start?
He was very much into hip hop then. He's always been very heavily into hip hop. Eminem's biggest fan, bar none.
He should be called Stan.
yeah. I've got pictures of him with the blonde hair as well. If we ever need to embarrass him,
we could put a couple of those up. So Melv coming because I saw through looking at AI again. Was it with Melv? You set up something called Suspicious Stench?
Yeah, because his production name's Suspect and I'm Stenchman, so together we're Suspicious Stench.
Because that's his last name, isn't it?
What, Suspect?
Yeah, isn't it? Or is that no Staples? I don't know. I
I've
always wondered, is that his real name?
His name on Facebook's Melvin Suspect Staples, but Suspect is just a nickname.
Right. Okay. Is his last name Staples then?
It is Staples.
Oh, okay. But then also, did you both set up Prime Audio? We've got your mixer, one of your old mixers that Alfie dug out of the cupboard earlier.
Prime Audio, he set up. We both kind of had our own labels because we wanted to release our own material and other people's. And he's stuck with it, and I didn't. But yeah, he's done really well for himself. I'm really proud of him. But yeah, I taught him everything he knows.
Oh, well, I follow him on some of the socials. I know he does a few lives as well, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I've not caught any of the lives.
He's well active on there. He's got like a van channel, and he's got he's like an aquarium channel. He's doing loads of stuff on there now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've seen him with the
man
dog
of many
walks.
talents.
Yeah, I see him doing the dog walks and stuff like that. But how much is a piece of equipment like this back in the day?
No, to be honest, it's a few £100. About 200, 300 maybe.
You just left it abandoned at the art club.
No, I gave it to Travis when he was getting into it, and I was kind of out DJing all the time and didn't really use it at home.
But you're back in the music producing scene now. I noticed I keep seeing you popping up on social media. So you've gone from the heights of the big day DJ, but now you're producing music for yourself or for other people.
Well, I've done a bit for other people. There's a couple of like album tracks I've done for a few singers and stuff. Just kind of like small letters and credits on the back of the album and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of back in the studio and just having a laugh a lot of the time now.
I remember you've done a gig here. It was on Sunday, I think it was, or a Saturday, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Have you played recently anywhere else? Locally or anywhere?
It's been a couple of months since I played. The last gig I played was probably New Year's Eve. I was playing in Swindon.
Okay.
Actually, and well, just before Christmas, and I was playing over at the Leascliffe Hall supporting Enter Shikari. That was a pretty big gig for recent ones. But yeah, I haven't had as much booking interest as I used to because I haven't got an agent and don't have any kind of booking info on my socials and stuff.
We need some better spaces in Dover to hold more people. I know the art club does well, but I feel like we lack space. Well, maybe the booking hall, actually. That's still only about 200 people, though.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If you could have a massive space here, and would you be able to fill it?
Well, I think the Funky Monkey was always full, whether you wanted to be there or not. It was a place to go drinking after midnight.
We've got different definitions of a massive space.
Well, I mean for Dover. I mean just for Dover. I mean, we had Club Karma, which used to hold a good number of people. You know,
Yeah.
the Funky Monkey held a good number of people. The Duchess, even the dance floor in there is pretty packed. You got Yes Mum Please is open now. I think they've rearranged that so it allows more people to stand and dance. But you got the Dizzy Donkey actually. I'd say we have got some venues, but it's whether it's the right venues to be having a slightly larger number of people in there that passionately follow. Because I'm pretty sure that with the DJs and everything that these guys put down here, you probably sell all your tickets out. You probably sell more. No, it all depends. Well, yeah, it depends on what you're doing and how it's going. But the booking hall is always full, I think. That's a couple of hundred people. Don't you? I'm not saying thousands, but it would be nice to.
I mean, yeah, it'd be nice, but is it viable?
Well, these guys have been doing Section 82 parties for how long now? And they seem to do. You did all right over at Betshanger, didn't you? You did. Where did you actually do one? Was it in Shep as well? That was quite a good one. Maybe all of you need to link up with my sister-in-law, Hannah. She's now working with the owners of Greater Farthinglow Barn.
Oh, okay.
And to do more events up there. I think that'd be a great little rave spot. I'd like to get up there and clear out the bit at the top. You know, where they used to do the raves. But yeah, maybe you should bring Section 82 and what's your name now? Are you still Stenchman or?
Yeah, but as an event company, I don't currently have an events name. I used to do stuff under Aroma with Jolly back in the day. That was a long time ago. We actually got some quite good artists down to Dover. We did a thing in the King's Hall where we had like Baby D and MC50. We had, who did we have down here? We had English Frank, X-Man, Funster.
It's the mosque now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that. I wasn't in the country when they were putting gigs on down there, so I missed all that. But I've read the comments where people said some of the nights in there were really good. It wasn't specific to you necessarily, but yeah, they saying like really. I think they stopped doing events there because of noise complaints. So you did a lot then for the music scene in Dover. What do you think? Was it you that stopped it, or just what stopped it so much?
Just we tried to expand too much and then kind of booked some bigger acts and made some losses, and then it was kind of we was putting a lot into it, and you put in a lot of effort in, and then just on the night you're just getting like, I'll go and let us in free, and it's just like I've put my heart and soul, and everyone just wants a freebie, and I'm a bit of a soft touch, so like loads of people I would let in for free, and then we'd end up paying to please other people.
Right. That's an interesting point.
Reverse hooker.
Yeah, that's an interesting point actually. Yeah. So you was trying quite a lot. And it's these things that we need to, do you know, I don't know all the people that have tried to put effort in with music, but I know one chap that I speak to, Mick Morris, see him about, and he's tried to do things around music and music festivals, and he seems to face challenges. And I've talked to other people that try to put events on there, always try to do good things, but there's always like challenges. What was the challenges? Was it because you had to pay lots of money to put the parties on? Was there no community relief funds or anything like that at the time?
I don't know. To be honest, it wasn't the kind of avenues I would explore at the time. It was only when I got a bit older and realised what kind of funding you could get for stuff like that I would have even thought of applying. But
that'd be
it was just so much to do for them, and it's like you were just running around on the night, constantly worried. There was drama here. It's just kind of, it's not soul destroying because you have a great time, but it's just very tiring.
I hope we can bring it back somehow. I feel like we need to unite the various groups of people that are trying to do stuff, and try and make the processes easier for people to be able to put stuff on in the area.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. the problem with Dover is that as you get older, it becomes more and more devoid of motivated people because motivated people escape Dover.
But I feel like just in the Dover area, where there is 35,000 residents, give or take, that there are people. This is one reason why we're doing what we're doing, and we hope that we can get the reach out there. There's people probably sat there thinking, I want to do this, and I don't know where to start, and I don't know, and they're watching all these other big influencers online, but there's people locally like yourself who have been doing it. But how do we, now you've told, your story, what you've been up to, how you got to where you're going, but how do we then further that information into potentially utilizing the information of your experience to make it easier? Why aren't the systems changing? Or, how can we get more people involved without there being too much conflict? Because I feel like sometimes where, like you said, there is potentially a lack of motivated people, but the ones who are very vocal and motivated, I've found in some cases, they end up butting heads on things. So we still lack a unison in some aspect.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd love to be involved in like community things like that and give advice to people, but I think that kind of the advice I can give on how to succeed in the music industry isn't applicable to today. I can tell someone how to succeed 15 years ago, but if I knew what they needed to do to achieve like massive success today, then I'd still be touring everywhere.
Yeah, but even talking about the fact of where you started with the most rudimentary piece of equipment and then learned by yourself where to go and you kept putting the time in, that's good enough information anyway. I know things have changed, that's for sure. But then there's also a case of we need people to be even just, because you will have information that you, even if people started to do something now in the new age, the information you've got is not obsolete still. It will play a part somehow. And we need to get, I think sometimes we've in the past, we've adorned people with this title of an expert. I've experienced it once myself, where I used to live around the mountain biking thing. It was like, oh, you're an expert. And I was like, I could have played on that, and I'm pretty sure people would have said, yes, I am the expert. And I said, no, I'm not an expert. I just happen to know from my experience of where I used to live and the scene that's already been doing, and I've watched it all, and it hasn't got here yet.
Yeah.
So you thinking of me as an expert, it's not. It's because I've just come from a place that's just moved ahead a little bit further than you have. So I'm just bringing you the information from another place, So I think that sometimes in the past, people have been told that they're experts, and they've maybe let it go to their head, and it shouldn't be that case. Let's not tell people they're experts or they are actually, well, mentor is still a good word. I think mentor is a nice word, but every teacher, the best teachers ever are ones that are always willing to learn themselves. You don't feel like that you are the one that knows absolutely everything, but your experience is always valuable. To doing things. I think we need to figure out a way to push information.
That's the thing though, like kids these days, I'm seeing like 15-year-olds have watched like some YouTube videos, and the level of competence is so far above like what I was at that time, and even now in a lot of cases. So yeah, the kids these days, like I know like there's a lot of support needed, but I don't think we give them enough credit for how much they can do off their own initiative. Because there's young people out there doing incredible things.
But a lot of young people are still in their rooms with anxiety and not going out there and showcasing what they can do, which is what we could do with encouraging a little bit more, I think. Before I change subject about mountain biking, is there anything else you want to say about Melvin?
Love you, bro.
Yeah. You said you didn't talk about him enough.
Yeah, no, I feel kind of guilty that I've described my music journey without going into our partnership much. But in my defence, I tried to get him out on the road with me and he always refused. So kind of, we didn't go out touring together or anything. He just kind of wanted to be involved in the production aspect. And yeah.
Well, you can still tell us a little bit, whatever you want to say about Melvin.
To be honest, I'm getting hungry, mate. I want to go home for dinner. Let's move on.
Oh, okay. No, it makes sense. I think we're up to an hour, aren't we? Just under. But I wanted to just touch on the mountain biking thing, because the first time I met you was...
Dub cycles.
Was it not up the back of Kersney Abbey first and then you came to Dub Cycles?
No, I thought it was the other way around.
Might well have been, actually. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was when I started getting the DJ money and just kind of was buying stupid
stuff.
bikes.
Yeah, you was one of the good
Ridiculous.
customers. I think you was buying pedals at the time. I think that's what I might remember you buying.
Can you remember that mongoose I had? It had like shiny purple brake hoses, a lime green seat, purple bars. It was just like a rainbow tank.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that so much. My favourite memory of you is when we were at the back of Kersney Abbey. When I remember, I don't think there was any jumps there before. You were the first person to break ground up there in building the jumps.
No, it wasn't. There was some up there. They just got into really bad disrepair. I don't even know who the first person was. But yeah, I remember going up there and being like, this has been something before.
Yeah.
There's been something here and we can reclaim this.
And then I don't know if we agreed to meet up there, all of us, because a bunch of us come up there, but we bumped into you. And it was the first time I'd ever been introduced to a Cornish shovel.
Oh, what, the long handle ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love a Cornish shovel.
Like, this is the best tool ever.
Got that reach.
That's all I've always used one of those when it comes to any track building or bike jump building. And so that was one of my fondest memories of you introducing me to a shovel.
That was before I got introduced to the Mattock. That's my one of choice now.
Yeah. What's the name of the other one? I used another one. It's like a larger faced sort of short handled hoe that they use in Spain.
Oh, like a fire rake. Like digging hoe.
The name of it. Yeah, it's like a little digging hoe. That's one of the best things ever to have. It was really good. Because we were getting into mountain biking then obviously I left the country for a little bit. And then I came back and you had set up Whitecliffe's mountain biking, which was obviously community focused sort of element to help in make cycling better for the area. Yeah,
I just wanted like people to get out and have fun with me and just kind of show that, because there's a lot of like beautiful scenery around the area. It's like, we spend so much time like going to Wales and stuff and going away for mountain biking, but you can just have a nice ride in the local area. I mean, it's a shame that the powers that be have spent more money on preventing cycling than they have enabling it. But
there's 1.6, no, was it 5.6 million? I can't remember the number now. But I've messaged the council recently again, because I remember when I come back, I then worked for the council, and then we started chatting a little bit, and I learned a lot about your frustrations of trying to engage with the council. I actually had your back one day in the office when I actually told one of the heads of services, I was like, actually, sounds like you're the problem, not Jack, because when I mentioned your name across the room and he wasn't even involved with the conversation, he piped up and was like, that guy annoys me. And I turned around and was like, what, Jack, the guy who's trying to do something for Dover, turned around, and in front of everyone, I was like, sounds like it's you that's got the damn problem.
Yeah, I mean, organisations like that, people who actually go out and do things instead of just talking about them, scare them. So
yeah, but the problem we've got is the paths are not easily accessible. So I've been chatting. The leader of the council's away at the moment. He's up for talking more about. I've been chatting with another chap who's from Environmental Impact. Briefly, I was fortunate enough to get on a Zoom call with Sustrans and the council And I can't remember who it was. It was like last year, and nobody else turned up to the consultation. It was just me, so I had them for it was like nearly an hour.
Captive audience.
Yeah, rambling on about the things that I'd done in Ibiza, about how the cycling economy this way and the other such and such, and they liked it. So now apparently Kent County Council's got this 5.6, I think it is, £1 million funding. They're going to get some of it allocated for here. And in part of my conversation, I'm like, yeah, but what cycling groups, are being involved with? Are you just going to spend all this money on big contractors when we could actually localize the efforts ourselves and spend it in a better way, blah, blah, blah. So waiting on that, see how that comes back.
Although, to be fair, my involvement with the group has been lackluster, to say the least, which I apologise to all the members for, but kind of, yeah, life happens, doesn't it?
I can't put my finger on what happened because it was during COVID. I started pitching in with you. You started it off, and we were doing these group rides. Again, I got in trouble at the council by my manager. He was like, what are you doing? You've got this many people in the group riding, which was the legal amount at the time. And he was like, as a council person, you shouldn't be posting. I was like, what are you talking about? We're trying to inspire people and keep them. Anyway, it's terrible management. So I can't remember what happened. I did a couple of classes on my own as well. And you took some people out on some mental health rides. You got some bikes, you got some funding. And then I don't know what happened. I tried to put a bike race on in Barham as well.
Yeah, the turning point for me was, I lost my dad and I just couldn't be asked to do it anymore. I just didn't want to be around people and kind of have to put on a brave face when I just wanted to break down most of the time. So
you were helping everyone else with mental health stuff, but you didn't let anyone else give you the chance to help you out.
It's the thing, like in certain situations like that, the only real healer is time. There's nothing anyone can say that's going to kind of take away grieving. It's a process, and time's the only thing you can do with that.
Yeah, it's true. But even still, I feel like there was some posts being made in the group before there was a load of engagement. And then,
that's the thing. Kind of, I did try and resume it again after I started feeling a bit better, but the attendance just dropped off. We kind of had one or two people turning up for it every time, and it was like, is it really worth it to? Yeah. And then the like insurance and stuff lapsed from cycling in the UK, and I didn't want to spend more out of my own money to kind of insure a group that wasn't coming out with me.
And I've been posting about this amazing opportunity that we've got to do something up at Great Farm in Low Barn, and I just can't find anybody that's really as interested as I am in trying to make paths up there for us to ride
people
on.
Love doing the fun bits, but the graft, especially when you're not getting paid for it, it's hard to do. And I can understand, like, everyone's got their own lives to lead and everyone's got a job and they're knackered at the end of the day. So I get why people don't want to come and help. But,
unfortunately.
But when you're one of the people who does want to help and no one else wants to do it with you, there's only so much you can take of that before it starts to ground you down a bit.
True. I am fortunate that I am still single at the minute and I don't have any children. So it does free up me more. So I don't complain that I'm not getting help, but I just find it a little bit strange that there just seems to have that engagement dropped off, even if someone come and help for a couple of hours or something like that. So maybe we need to pick that up again.
Let's do it. Well, now the sun's coming out, let's throw a organised ride in there, see what happens, see if we get anyone come up on it.
Well, Mel
said... I need to go and have a go on a bike, see if I can still stay upright first, I think.
Well, Mel said he was going to get his drone out and come and video the field for track planning, but I haven't heard from him. I'm not going to keep
I don't think he's got his drone fixed yet.
That was it, yeah.
We took it up to... Where is it? It's not Surrey, it's around that area, though. It's like one of the little bike places. And yeah, he tried to fly it there, but it was a no-fly zone and it hasn't worked since.
Well...
Don't know if the two are connected, but...
Alfie could probably debug it somehow. All right, man. I feel like we could have still talked about some stuff.
There's loads of topics I would love to have covered, but we could do another one sometime.
We can definitely do another one sometime. I feel like what is interesting is just, you still got to say about where you started things that you've managed to achieve, you've got to do. We managed to talk about how we can contemplate about pushing our community to grow even more in all of these different aspects, and we're still working on that.
And I didn't reference directly how much in case my boss sees this.
Well,
You're still recorded and you're going to put that bit in, aren't you?
I was trying to steer you towards was there any dark sides to what you're doing, but we didn't have time for that, and it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can have me being completely frank, or you can have me sharing it. It's one of the two, and sharing it will probably be better for the podcast.
Yeah. Oh no, either or. They say there's an 18-year limit on what we post. And it's not about hiding information. We can't be ignorant to what people have been doing, what they've been going through, and the experiences of stuff that.
I allude to the levels of debauchery I went to without.
Yeah, I think we've all done something that people would deem not acceptable, but.
And if you haven't kids, try it once.
Okay, that was not an endorsement. But yeah, I had to say that, obviously. Jack, I think we'll wrap that up then.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
We've done over an hour.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe we'll do 2 or 3 hour ones next time. I don't know. Jack, thank you.
Alfie is like, no, you fucking ain't.